Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and it seems that there's a very crazy thing happening. Pretty big story, I would say, and I would even go to confirm with the quoting on this one to where if your politicians are not talking about this or not conspiring about this stuff, that it should probably be a very big concern. This is somewhat of a decent read, and I want to get this out and forth. But yes, it seems like there's a DHS leaks, and like I said to one person before, a couple of years ago, is that they will be coming to a for First Amendment rights and all this other stuff. And it seems that the prophet, such as I, was correct. Which I don't like being correct about these things specifically because it doesn't really bode well for our country or for the American people for that matter when I am correct about these things. But without further ado and get directly into this, let's take a look at this great and crazy article, honestly. DHS leaks starting in 2020. DHS began meeting with Twitter, Facebook, Wikipedia, and more monthly to coordinate content moderation efforts. This is not good, ladies and gentlemen. The Department of Homeland Security has been working to influence big tech platforms. This became originally evident when the Biden administration launched the ill-fated Disinformation Governance Board early in 2022, but has been a focus of their efforts even beyond that now defunct unit and before. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt filed a lawsuit that revealed a veil appended meeting minutes that former Microsoft executive Matt Masterson, who was formerly an official with DHS, told a DHS director in February 2022 that platforms have got to get comfortable with government. It's really interesting how hesitant they remain. This is according to The Intercept. Prior to 2020, it was reported that DHS met with Twitter, Facebook, Wikipedia, and other platforms in order to coordinate content moderation operations. Wow. We have not seen that before. We've caught Wikipedia going out and censoring and changing words or whatever on their platforms. We've seen Twitter try to do this stuff too. We know this is happening, but now this is officially out in the light. And what the best part is, this happened as soon as Elon Musk took control of Twitter, so this can't be censored, this can't be stopped, this will be out in the open. This is good, at least at this point. But it's not good that this was happening. But we could have predicted this was going to happen anyways when the Democrats got their foothold on our Americans' heart's grasp. These meetings were part of our ongoing initiative which saw conclusion and collaboration between DHS and Big Tech to determine how misinformation would be dealt with on those platforms. Areas that came under this purview included withdrawal from Afghanistan, undertaken disastrously by President Joe Biden in August 2021, as well as the origins of the COVID-19 virus, which became controversial enough that users were kicked off social media platforms for expressing the hypothesis that the virus originated in a Wuhan, China lab. Now, obviously, YouTube, stop being stupid. I know what you're trying to do here. Obviously, I am not talking about what is going on with the virus, etc., 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 or what is COVID-19. Blah, 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 blah. I am really reading an article, and I'm stating what this article is particularly saying. I am not trying to post infamous information or anything of what have you, alright? Knock it off. A Senate report found last week that this was the most likely scenario. Information that could undermine trust in financial institutions was also targeted. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Act, signed by President Donald Trump, my apologies, opened the door to this as it formed a new branch within DHS, which then undertook the deal with online disinformation. CISA stated its understanding that the mission of that branch of the DHS was evolved and meant to communicate their concerns on disinformation to social media companies. Social media companies took DHS word for it. Oh my, well, I don't think they took their word for it. I think they actually wanted this to happen. But I digress. DHS used concerns about marginalized communities to justify the reach. Much of this effort became evidence as a result of an attempt to fight disinformation in the lead up to the 2020 presidential election. Both Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg and then Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey spoke about the platform's efforts to suppress and censor reporting from the New York Post. They did this in part because the FBI had told these platforms to watch out for misinformation dump. Well, how are we ever surprised that the feds are trying to target the American people? This is completely a shock. And notice what this is, guys. This is for both Republican, both Democratic people alike. Notice this happened, and now I'm going to specifically point out for the Democratic side of people because obviously this is kind of to you guys. Notice what happened as soon as Trump, this as soon as Trump got out of the office and was out, and Biden was put into place. this immediately started happening. The Democrats are the ones that are doing this. It's not the Republicans right now. Now, granted, the Republicans have their chance of potentially doing this, and I hate all politicians, and I think there will be doing something like this. But right now, the Democrats are the ones that are having their little fingers on this grab. And we also have to understand there are rhinos, there are terrible people in the Republican Party that need to be exercised and removed from the Republican Party and removed from, I would even say, their political sphere, because they are very dangerous to this democracy, very dangerous to this country and to the American people, not democracy. This was especially done with the election information which would be flagged by state of election officials and submitted to DHS, which would then tell social media companies to pull it. FBI official Laura Demlow stated her concern in March that big tech companies were not accountable to the government, saying we need a media infrastructure that is held accountable. So, we have all this stuff here that we'll be going to see. Now, we're going to go directly to this part here and see what is going on. Obviously, I'll try to blow this up for you guys, ladies and gentlemen, because you kind of can't see it from otherwise. But it goes on to say, pursuant to the third-party subpoena, Meta has identified the FBI's FITF as supervised by Lord Dimlow and Elvis Chan has involved in the communications between the FBI and Meta that led to Facebook's suppression of the Hunter Biden laptop story. Here we have. Imprisonment, particularly related to the threats of violence at polling locations and interstate harassment. However, integrity of elections results may be another. This is from the CISA Cybersecurity Advisory Committee. There was a discussion between team members related to organizational information sharing between public and private sector, how to collaborate across channels, driving resiliency, building, and education about MDM with FBI focus on foreign efforts. How do we distinguish foreign actors embedded in the MDM process, and what is the government's strategic approach related to MDM? MS Dimlow was asked to provide her thoughts or to define a goal for approaching MDM, and she mentioned resiliency. She stated we need a media infrastructure that is held accountable. We need to early educate the populace, and that today critical thinking seems to be a problem currently. Why is critical thinking actually a problem? That doesn't seem quite good, because critical thinking is essential to combat and tackle issues that may be happening in real time. Senior advisor for Homeland Security and director of the Defending Democratic Institutions Center for Strategic and International Studies stated that civics education should be provided at all ages. So, we'll go on to say, there is also a formalized process for government officials to directly flag content on Facebook or Instagram and request that it be throttled or suppressed through a special Facebook portal that requires a government or law enforcement email to use. At the time of writing, the content request system at facebook.com/takedown/login is still live. DHS and Meta, the parent company of Facebook, did not respond to a request for comment. The FBI declined to comment the Intercept reports. Of course they did, because they're not going to completely out themselves. It's the FBI. They're supposed to be trusted. The extent to which the DHS initiatives affect Americans' daily social feeds is unclear. During the 2020 election, the government flagged numerous posts as suspicious of many of which were then taken down. Documents cited in Missouri Attorney General's lawsuit disclosed, and a 2020 report by the Election Integrity Partnership at Stanford University found that nearly 4,800 flagged items. Technology platforms took action on 35%, either removing, labeling, or soft blocking speech, meaning the users were only able to view content after bypassing a warning screen. The research was done in consultation with CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, the Intercept reports. When Hunter Biden laptop story broke, revealing the Biden family's influence, peddling, and shady overseas business dealings with Ukraine and China. Social media platforms that took the bait from the government and ditched the story. Countless other mainstream media outlets followed suit, going so far as to report on why they would not report on the story, citing hacking of the Russian plot. Again, this is another bonus for the quitters, because if Elon Musk stands firm, this will be a bonus. This will help immensely. That won't be able to push that. That won't be able to be a thing, and maybe even expose some stuff. All these were incorrect, and many outlets, including the New York Times, had to walk it back. As a result of documents revealed in Schmidt's suit, it is now apparent that DHS officials were in fact leading the push to expand the government's reach into disinformation, and that the government also played a quiet role in shaping the decisions of social media giants around the New York Post story. Post-election polling showed that many Americans would not have voted for Joe Biden had they known the Hunter Biden laptop story was a fact and not disinformation post. True. The case that revealed the information was brought to this this spring by Missouri Attorney General Emerald Schmidt and Louisiana Attorney General Landry against top administrative officials in U.S. District Court for the Western District of Louisiana. It alleged that President Joe Biden and other administrative officials pressured and colluded with big tech companies to censor the Hunter Biden laptop story, as well as information regarding the lab leak origin theory of COVID-19 and the security voting by mail. The suit claimed that government officials colluded with official social media and big tech companies under the guise of combating misinformation, and that the goal and the result was censorship and suppression of free speech online. This discovery shows that the Attorney General who brought the case, the lawsuit named White House Press Secretary Jim Psaki, we all know that red-headed devil, uses Surgeon General Vivek Murthy, Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services, Xavier Becerra, Chief Medical Advisor, and NIAID Director Anthony Fauci, the communist regime physician, Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas, and newly announced Director of the DHS Information Governance Board, also named with the Department of Health and Human Services. The National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and the Department of Homeland Security and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Woo! Mouthful. The lawsuit alleges that the federal government had violated constitutional rights to suppress free speech in one of its greatest assaults by federal government officials in the nation's history. Well. That doesn't seem so good. And we also have more things as well to go by. The Facebook, and Twitter special portals for the government to rapidly request takedowns of content. The portals, along with NGO partners, used to censor a wide range of content, including obvious parody accounts and content disagreeing with government panic policy. This was the Facebook content request system, government reporting system, blah, 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 right here. So, there you have it. All I know. I don't need to really blow this up because you all see this. This is the emails and documents show close collaboration with DHS and private sector. Twitter's Vijay Gadde, featured by Elon Musk last week, met monthly with DHS discussing plans. Microsoft executive texts DHS. Pubs have got to comfortable with the government. All right, let's keep on going. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And sorry I didn't ring last week. Think you were on the call this week. Just trying to get us in a place where Fed can work with platforms to better understand the trends so relevant agents can try to debunk as useful. Not our mission, but as was looking to play a core role as so not every DA is independently reaching out to platforms, which could cause a lot of chaos. Was on the call. The coordination is greatly appreciated. Was disappointed that platforms, including us, didn't offer more. We'll get there, and sector leadership had zero questions. We'll get there, and that kind of leadership really helps. Platforms have to get more comfortable with government. It really is interesting how hesitant they remain. Again, Microsoft included. Goes on to say, ladies and gentlemen, this is not over. How does DHS justify its evolving mission from countering foreign terror groups to policing domestic disinfo on social media? Leaked planning docs show the agency argues false information is a source of radicalization and violence. Earlier this year, DHS launched a widely panned disinfo governance board, which it later started following criticism. But the same agenda lies on with DHS sub-agency CISA, which argues disinfo is a threat to American critical infrastructure. This is even bigger. So, well, this obviously popped up. I will have this stuff on here as well. So, we have that. Then we have draft DH Quad review, which plans agency policy leaked to us, shows growing focus on MDN, which is misinfo, disinfo, and mail-in info to protect Homeland against spread of toxic narratives. How the agency defines false info, what narratives are prized, isn't clear. Goes on to say, ladies and gentlemen, while mitigating the harmful impacts of MDM on Homeland Security, DHS must be proactive and timely in transmitting factual information about our operations, especially in disaster or incident response situations, and be prepared to address false or misleading information. This will require institutionalizing governance and oversight structures to ensure operational efforts to identify MDM that impacts Homeland Security missions and protect privacy, civil rights, and civil liberties by design. It will also require the department to work closely with partners within the federal government, as well with state and local agencies, civil society organizations, and the private sector. The department must empower these partners to detect misleading information while amplifying the facts, ensuring accurate information reaches all Americans through trusted channels, especially in underreserved or otherwise marginalized communities. The department must also be able to understand the information environment to better protect targeted communities and prevent operations from being hampered by MDM, including increased efforts to identify, detect, and share information associated with MDM. DHS must enhance awareness of misleading information and effectively inform our partners when this information could negatively impact public safety. To do this, we have to think differently about how we look at information. Indicators of MDM may be apparent through public actions or communications, meaning intrusive collection is often not necessary. But analysts need to be able to distinguish between constitutionally prejudiced speech and true threats and apply a risk-based approach to addressing MDM. We have to leverage and advance data analytics technology and hire and train skills specialists to better understand how threat actors use online platforms to introduce and spread a toxic narratives intended to inspire or incite violence, as well as work with NGOs and other parts of civil society to build resistance to the impacts of false information. Well, there you have it. All that great stuff, all for you to consume and more. I will also be posting this Twitter actually on here so you guys can see all this stuff that's going on. Let's add insult to injury here, because we also have Marissa Hansen, which goes, of course the Proton Gang was involved with censorship. And we see this here, that all this stuff is redacted. Hi folks, I'm attaching our version of the recommendations from MDM subcommittee. The recommendations themselves have not substantively changed, but we've updated the language per our conversation last week. The development will likely need to help reformatting and moving the citations into place. I also left a couple of comments, but those can be removed. Most are just citations. I'm at a conference these next few days, so might not be able to respond quickly to email. Sorry. Well, so we have it. Pronoun people are also trying to censor. The government has been completely a part of this. This is the reason why we don't trust government. This is why we do not allow this to go through. Everybody and every single person that said, oh, well, the government can't do no wrong. The government is like, you're an idiot, and you immediately see why we have our Second Amendment rights, why we have to keep fighting back, and why this is a huge, massive issue. They are violating our First Amendment, and anybody that's out there that we're not going to do so are all fools. You're seeing this in live time, and you're seeing this now. Do something about it. Contact your local officials, and make sure anybody that does not know about this, know about it now. Because this is a huge issue and a massive violation of the First Amendment rights. It's time to stop it, and it's time to stop it now. Alright guys, you know what's going on. Do what you do. You're an American. You fight for what's right. And as always, take care.